New York City endured yet another terror attack, although this time the plot was pretty much foiled when no one was seriously hurt. But the suspect is being charged and he is in a lot of trouble, and there's a debate as to how far these charges should go and how this suspect should be treated. We've got a lot to break down for you on the legal side and how it is impacting and what the Muslim community is saying about it. But I want to start with Ashley Johnson, who is breaking down the nuts and bolts of what's happening in New York and with this terrorist suspect. Ashley, what do you got for us?
New York City bombing suspect 27-year-old Akayed Ullah was charged with federal terrorism charges Tuesday while still being treated at Bellevue Hospital in Manhattan. Police and the National Guard continue to guard the Port Authority bus terminal after Monday's big scare. U.S. Acting Attorney General June Kim said at a news conference Tuesday that Ullah came to the Port Authority with a purpose and that his motivation was no mystery.
Ullah admitted that he began researching how to build bombs about a year ago and had been planning this particular attack for several weeks.
Ullah is said to have been researching his attack for a year and began collecting bomb-making material about 3 weeks ago. According to a court complaint, the Bangladesh native posted on his Facebook before the attack, "Trump, you failed to protect your nation."
Well, I think any terrorist out there thought that or thinks that President Trump is tough on immigration, tough on terrorism. He's been saying it all along. So this was, I think, was kind of like an in-your-face thing, not only to the president, but to the American people as well.
Meanwhile, here's a photo of the 4 brave Port Authority cops who were able to stop Ullah from fully carrying out his plan of attack. Officers Jack Collins, Sean Gallagher, Drew Preston, and Anthony Manfredini are being hailed as heroes. Manfredini, a bomb technician expert, was alerted by frantic commuters about the bombing. The 4 together responded quickly, and fortunately no innocent bystanders were seriously injured.
This shows you what cops do every day without thinking of their own safety or security. So you're trained to do this stuff. You just jump into action, and it's not until after the fact that you do this kind of stuff that you say to yourself, like, wow, I can't believe I just did that.
Ullah's family reportedly says they are outraged by the way their family has been handled by investigators since the attack. In Manhattan, I'm Ashley Johnson, reporting for Chasing News.
Thank you, Ashley. Okay, I want to bring in somebody who's been a guest on this show. Her name is Nusrat Kadir, and she is with the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. Nusrat, welcome back to Chasing News. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me, Bill.
So you wrote an article recently talking about how the Muslim community has actually, many imams stepped up and said, you know what, we are responsible and able to root out some of these radicals who are within our community. And they're doing a job of that. A lot in the mainstream media not giving them credit for it. How did this terrorist slip through the crack?
Well, this is a lone wolf in our opinion, and I think like all lone wolves, they're acting on their own in their own accordance. And how he slipped through, my understanding is he was watching videos on his own at his home. His family was unaware of what he was doing, and over the last year he really moved towards a more nefarious act.
Now, your organization is much more religious-based, very different than the Council on American Islamic Relations, who are very political. CAIR tends to point the finger and right away say that, oh, this is going to create this anti-Muslim sentiment, but you seem to have a bit of a different take on that.
And the reality is that in Islam, there is no room for terrorism. That's first and foremost. So that needs to be well understood. Also, leaders like His Holiness Mirza Masroor Ahmad of Qadian, he has shown us that through his leadership, we should not be in any way causing any harm to society. As immigrants, we should be able to come into America and make it possible to live with one another and provide for a better United States versus in any way harming us.
Nusrat, in terms of surveillance, the New York Police Department certainly has a history of surveilling mosques. Do you see that practice continuing and stepping up? And do you see it as a threat to your religion or a necessary security measure?
I don't see it as a threat because, once again, His Holiness Mirza Masroor Ahmad has told worldwide that our mosques are open transparency leads to truth, something that Senator King has recently discussed, and he's also been a guest at our mosque. There's openness there. There's nothing to hide, and I believe that is something that we'd like to continue to work with law enforcement as well as any average day American, and welcome them to our mosque. Have a conversation every week.
Thank you, Nusrat. Okay, I want to bring in somebody who knows the New York City commute all too well. New York TV journalist John Schumo joins me. John, welcome back to Chasing News. How are you?
Okay, Bill, how are you doing tonight?
My take is New York literally bounced back within hours of this attack. Even the afternoon commute yesterday, morning commute today, right back to normal.
Yeah, and I checked the top trends on Twitter this morning, less than 24 hours after the attack. Nothing. Twitter lists 10 trends in New York, nothing related at all to the terror attack. Are we ready to accept this? Perhaps this is the new normal in New York City. Now, of course, some will avoid the tunnels. Some will walk on 42nd Street when they're going from the Port Authority to Times Square. But on social media, most of the complaints that I heard yesterday and again today simply stemmed from the delayed commute.
I see it on the other side that New York is just this tough, resilient place, and some terrorist with a pipe bomb is not going to disrupt our normal day-to-day activity because life does go on and law enforcement's doing their job.
Absolutely. Look, I was in Lower Manhattan with New Yorkers after the attack on Halloween, talking with them. I was in Chelsea after the attack in September of last year. What I heard frequently then, what I hear today, is what can you do about it? Look, the guys were here. The Halloween attacker arrived from Uzbekistan in 2010. The Chelsea attacker came from Afghanistan in 2000. This guy arrived from Bangladesh in 2011. People are here in our country who want to commit harm. And what can we do? We can either cower in fear or we can go on our daily lives.
Okay, thanks, John. Always good to talk to you. Let's bring in our A-plus panel to break this down. I'm joined by Phil Alagia, who is the Essex County Chief of Staff. Welcome, Phil. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Bill.
Jeanette Hoffman is here, political consultant and strategist. Jeanette, always good to see you.
Thanks, Bill.
And Bob Bianchi, former Morris County prosecutor and now defense attorney. Jeanette, the reality is you declare your allegiance to an enemy of the country. You're a terrorist. You're a foreign combatant.
Exactly, Bill. I completely agree. There's no gray area here. This man says he is a terrorist. He's working with ISIS, and his goal is to kill Americans. Thank goodness he didn't succeed, and God bless our first responders and law enforcement that were on the scene. But I think the more important thing we need to talk about is giving law enforcement the tools that they need to look at terrorists like this person who's been in our country for 7 years.
Phil, in the position you're in government, I mean, you heard what Nusrat had to say. I mean, it seems to me that she's got a very different message than what you hear constantly from the apologists in the Council on American Islamic Relations. It seems to me she needs to get more play in the press, and more politicians ought to be standing at the podium with someone like that.
In Essex County, we have an unbelievable relationship with the imams, the mosques, and the Muslim community. So we're involved. They're engaged with the prosecutor, the police departments in Essex County, and it's we're together. So.
You agree try him as a terrorist as opposed to a criminal?
Well, you see, I just want to make sure that we're clear here for your audience. Nobody is saying that you can't charge him as a criminal having committed a terrorist act. The Gitmo piece in the military court of justice becomes a completely different thing.
I guess it's all down to whether you think he's an enemy combatant or not. Got to leave it there. Thank you.